Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're jumping back in. It is going to be awesome. John Crouch back to give us some more motivated stories. But before we get into these episodes, are you enjoying the podcast? And make sure you go check out the website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. We are a new nonprofit, so if there's any way you can help us out, it'd be much appreciated. A big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project, man. Like I say every time, they're out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out again. We want to try to support them as best we can. You can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. Also, the Marine Corps League is out there. They are now doing veteran service officers. So you can find that at mcleague.org. Search the VSO locator. That's going to help you contact one of the Marine Corps League specific VSOs, or you can dial 703-207-9588, extension 299.
Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member.
Yeah,
Now, I'm assuming nothing came of it.
nothing came of it.
Yeah, good.
So I was a do-it-yourselfer, a hobbyist. I made all kinds of neat things for the Marines. Cover blocks where it looks like your cover is at the same tilt as that was on your head. And I figured out what that angle was. And I made a cover block. I'll grab it and pull it over here. So, crap. So this is what you would see if you walked into the office. You see,
that's cool.
Campaign cover, name tag,
Yeah.
ID tags hanging off one end. It's made of walnut and birch. And then this is how it sits on the front, just like you would on your head at that same tilt.
Yeah.
And then the top.
That's awesome.
It's like Superman, the diagonal.
Oh, nice.
And then under
Yeah, that's good.
is drill instructor team photo. And that was all of us drill instructors at that time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 counting the master guns. So I mean 6 working drill instructors. And that's Dozier, second one on the steps, the Black Marine.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I made all kinds of nice things for the drill instructors, being a woodworker. That's how I spent my off-duty hours making things. I used the rec room where I had a buffing wheel and I had my carving set, all kinds of things. But one day, my pair of black leather gloves that we were issued in the Marine Corps for doing heavy work, one of them was missing. It was the right hand. Now I'm pissed. I need this so I can hold on to brass when I'm buffing it on the buffing wheel.
Right.
And it's missing for months, maybe 4 months. And then one day, it all came together. Chief Petty Officer Stevens, future Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, which is the equivalent of the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. So, Stevens and I were very good friends. And so Stevens was one of the few Chief Petty Officers that we had a lot of respect for because he was physically fit, he volunteered to be there, and he wore his uniform appropriately, and he had the red cord indicating he was a former recruit depot commander for enlisted boot camp.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he says, guess what, Marines? I know where Dozier goes all the time. Now, we've asked Dozier, Gunner Sergeant Dozier, all the time, hey, where the fuck are you going? Hey, you're damn business. Or he might say, I just want to go relax. He's got a convertible, a red sports car convertible. I don't remember what kind, but he'd have the top down a lot. He'd go cruising. He says, well, I was out there parked beside the officer club, and I walked over to the beach just to check things out. And as I come back, I see Gunny Dozier outside his sports car in the shade in the parking lot. and he's got no cover on his head. His cami blouse is off. It's just a green T-shirt, green bottoms, camouflage bottoms, and boots.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got this black leather glove in his right hand, and he's smoking a cigarette. He did not want us to know that he smoked cigarettes.
No kidding.
He felt it was unprofessional and weak to be a smoker. So he was very concerned about his level of professionalism. He was very professional.
Yeah.
He is the same drill instructor in the earlier story, whereas he did not want to share in torturing officer candidates from other classes and didn't want drill instructors messing with his.
Right.
He was that guy. And, so now we couldn't wait till he got back. And no wonder my glove showed up one day. Oh, stinky. So it showed up stinky before I found out that he was a smoker and he was using my glove. It smelled horrible, like camel ass, or horse ass. I did not understand why it smelled this bad. Well, it's because he was smoking cigarettes with it, like Lauren Bacall or Betty Davis from a 1940s movie, and
oh, that is funny.
Puffing away, and
he stole your glove so he could smoke cigarettes. That's pretty bad. I mean, I guess you need a cigarette. You need a cigarette, I suppose.
Yeah. Me kill that there. So officer candidates are very vulnerable in the very first week or two of still being civilians.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting in my office, and outside the window of my office is being cleaned by two officer candidates. So I waited till he made contact, and I smiled. I waved, and he waved back. I says, "Get in here now, pig!" And who are you to freaking wave at a drill instructor? Why did you wave at me? Sir, the officer candidate was responding in like. I said, so what? I was testing you. And you wanted to wave back at me? You think we're friends? You think we have something to share, a common bond? I'll tell you what we're going to share. We're going to share in the next few minutes me watching you PT. Side startle hops begin. And start PT in his ass.
Nice. Oh, that's a good one.
So my last two classes, 07, 9, or 8, and 1, 2, 9, or 8, I had time to teach them trick drill. So I taught them how to flip the rifle. So class 07 was senior to class 1, 2. And so after the drill evaluation of Monday of week 7, then instead of just cleaning the rifles and turning them into the armory and be done with them, I kept the rifles for a few more weeks, and I would teach them how to toss the weapon, how to catch it, how to do different things.
Yeah.
They felt special because no one else did that there.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned it from my daughter's junior ROTC.
Oh, no kidding.
Team. They had an exhibition drill team at Beaufort, South Carolina, that in high school, they could rival the Marine Corps silent drill team. They had the whole team down, including walking the line, catching a rifle, halting at the next position, halt, face, do a mirror image of each other, swap rifles on a spin, continue to do the same thing, throw one rifle back to the person missing a rifle, and the other person would put his rifle back down and continue. It was a phenomenal drill team, and they used M1 Garands. And I thought, if these 14, 15, 16-year-old kids can do this, there's no reason I can't do this. And it was just a matter of study and practice.
Right.
And then having the guts to try and teach a platoon formation who's never done this before, and I've never taught it before. So one, we don't have bayonets. That's a good thing, because I'd probably be stupid enough to have bayonets on them. And but I had them at double interval, and I'm teaching them how to spin.
Right.
So class 0898, the one class junior to me, they are in battalion 2, and where they are at on the second floor, many of their rooms look out to where I'm teaching class 0798, how to throw the weapon in the air and catch it and stuff. Dozier had a lot of honor classes. I never did. I never chased it because that means you have to give up playtime, time to go do extra PT, time to drill and do close order drill practice. You have to give them academics time. I don't want to do that. Screw that shit. I'm not here to help them win trophies. I'm here to give them obstacles. But Dozier wanted them to have that study time, and he'd be up there supervising it. Well, he went from his office to go check on the progress of his students who are supposed to be studying. What he found is the candidates in the hallway on the left were not in their rooms. The candidates in the rooms on the right, which overlooked where I was at, were all stuck to the windows like they're watching a Hooters bikini contest, right? And it's me out there spinning rifles. And so he yelled, and they had I could hear a little bit because the windows were up, right?
Yeah.
And he says, "Get away from those windows. This is class 0898, not class 0798. We treat our weapons with respect. We don't twirl them like a stick, as though what we're doing is bad." And had them shut the blinds, and the windows are shut so they can no longer see us having fun. And I actually wrote a nice long poem, and I put it in a PowerPoint presentation. If the walls of OCS could talk, we are the battalion 2. And we're lonely because the candidates here have no energy, no life. They spend their life at their desk, toiling the days of their life, studying. And I just went on and on, talking about how boring it is to be in his class and how fun it is to be in my class. Or in my class, and, in summertime, they're singing Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells Rock on their own, showing me that I can't defeat them while I PT their ass in the pit. And because they have that attitude of do what you want, but we're not going to be intimidated, and we can dish out more than you can handle. And that's awesome. And now there's a female who is a Navy chief, 14 years. Her name is Rabideaux, Rabidux. Little short, dark-haired female. And when she stood in position of order arms, that top of that muzzle was in her armpit. So my God. Yes. And so she ended up learning how to do that. So one day on the spins, when we're at the second hour of learning how to spin the rifle, she kept dropping it, so you got to start this in the grass so they don't break stalks. Then you can graduate to asphalt or sidewalks. And all of a sudden she caught it, and she had a grin as big as Obama, right? It was a big ass grin. And I said, "Rabideaux, did you just have a drill orgasm?" "Yes, sir." Because I told my classes, I want my officer candidates, my warriors, that when they feel that weapon in their hand, they are aggressive, that their body is filled with electrical energy, and that every movement they do is with maximum force and energy. That when they drive that weapon into their left shoulder or left shoulder arms, it sounds like a bayonet being stuck into the chest. And, where soft tissue is damaged and ribs are cracked. I said, I want to hear and feel the sound of intensity when my weapons move. And so I told them that a platoon that has perfectly timed intense close order drill, where every count starts and stops at the same exact moment, has an intense sound that is euphoric if you're part of that team, and it releases the endorphins in your body, which give you that euphoric high, the same euphoric high that you would have post-ejaculation or orgasm from sexual intimacy. I want you all to be whores. I want you to be sluts. I want you to take that weapon I don't want you to do magic with it, because I want you to feel that release of those endorphins racing through your body with incredible intensity when you know that you've executed the most perfect inspection arms, order arms, port arms, left shoulder arms, right shoulder arms. Those are power movements. And I had told every platoon I trained at Paris Island this. I told every platoon at Navy OCS this, or class, we call them. And I didn't tell you about the investigation on this, did I?
No, I don't remember that at all.
Well, an investigation.
So there I was.
So there's no drill instructors there from 1830 to 0445 daily, unless there's one drill instructor and only one drill instructor for the class who's going through regimental headquarters, where they go through Poopyville, known as NDOC. And that drill instructor has to leave at 2200, get in their vehicle and leave. So a lot of talk and communication occurs from 1830 until the next morning between classes. Females might want to gravitate to each other and, hey, we're a small group, we're females, we got to hang out and, take care of each other, and this is what you should be prepared for, and this is how you deal with this and whatnot. Well, apparently I've learned from Bitsy Hawes, class 199 that many of these young ladies had a different immature outlook than she did. Bitsy was very mature, a few years older. And if you ever look at my video out there, she's got the blonde hair bob cut on going into chow hall right after I introduced myself to the class, and then marching down the street and get them into the chow hall. And she's this little blonde who's yet to have her hair properly cut. And it's just the shaking and the moving. And the one who is short, fat, and slow. Her terms, not mine. And she said to me after she became an officer, she said, the things these females had to converse about, they had their hit list of who they would want to sleep with, the drill instructors.
Really?
That's the last thing that's on my mind. There is no way I'm putting my Marine Corps career at risk, my marriage at risk, let alone to look at them as humans. I've been dehumanizing them since the day they got there. The last thing I'm interested in is having a relationship with an officer candidate. And it would be a black eye on the Marine Corps, and I'm not going to do it. And I had no idea those thoughts ever ran through their minds, considering how we treated them. And but they did.
Wow.
Well, apparently, some female later on in one of my classes had learned that Gunner Sergeant Crouch uses the expression, drill is like an orgasm, intense.
Yeah.
And wrote or either talked on the phone, because they have the ability to call on their liberty hours, or wrote a letter home, but her mother was livid. She got a hold of her congressman. Congressman went ahead and got a hold of the Marine Corps and the Navy, and they conducted a congressional investigation. They sent down a 3-officer inspection team. One was a commander, which is an 05 or a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. And then the other two were either lieutenant commanders. I know at least one was lieutenant commander, and then the other was then obviously a second commander. And of them, one was female, 2 were males. And so all of a sudden I'm told, get up here to regiment, see me. It was the chief drill instructor. I walk in to see him. He says, damn you, Nick, your mouth is always cashing checks that you can't pay. Your ass can't pay. He says, you're going to have your rights read to you, and you're going to have these officers, they're going to ask you questions and allegations about your conduct and as a drill instructor. And he didn't tell me what the charges were.
Yeah.
I walk into the room where they're going to conduct the interrogation. In the room, they had the blinds closed, and the illumination naturally in that room was not very bright. It'd make for a great movie, and with the sun trying to come through the many blinds and single 60-watt light bulb almost illuminating the room. So I'm sitting here on one side. I'm looking at 3 officers on the other, report in, give an appropriate report. And then they tell me that I'm reading to you your Article 31 rights. Well, I know them quite well. And I listen to them. They read them. And said, we're going to ask you some questions about some allegations of alleged misconduct by yourself. And they said, have you ever used the expression, drill is like an orgasm intense? Well, my attitude in life was, don't try to lie your way out of it.
Yeah.
Just tell the truth. But own it and make them believe that what you did was okay.
Yeah.
So I said, why, yes, all the time. And they looked, the face that they had given each other, like, oh my God, the dumbest Marine in the world. He just told us that he does this. And they were like, wow, they wanted to high five each other, the smiles that went on their face. I said,
yeah.
Then I explained to them, I said, first of all, I need to ask a question. And this question is very important because it has to do with context. If you don't have this experience, no explaining in the world is going to make sense to you. Were any of you Marine Corps trained at ROTC or Navy OCS or Naval Aviation Officer Candidate School? Well, what does that have to do with anything? I need to know the answer because your answer determines how I continue speaking. No. And I pointed to the other two. Well, none of you. I says, have any of you watched the silent drill team in the Marine Corps? None of them had. So I had explained what the silent drill team is. And how awesome they are. I said, I would love to break and go get my silent drill team tape and play it for you so that you can see this and have a greater appreciation for what I'm going to say. We're not here to watch movies. We're here to ask questions. All right. So then I explained, the release of endorphins when there's a great accomplishment, a goal that has been sought. I created this template of what a perfect goal is in the performance of close order drill. And when you do it as a class, you feel this sense of energy and power that is unbridled. You have a hard time conveying to someone who's never been through the experience what that would be like and why is this important. But it was not for the purpose of creating simply a pornographic expression or moment. People in this age group, early 20s, late teens, they identify very visually and very accurately with things that are violent or things that are sexual.
Yeah.
And it
It's very true.
I said, it may not seem true if you've never been exposed to it, but I can assure you, and I can give you many examples of where speaking with the method of violence or sexual illustrations will drive home a point that you won't forget for the rest of your life. I said, I've seen it done the best in land navigation class I saw when we were totally exhausted. It was about 2,300 at night, and it's land navigation being given to us before we went to a land navigation nighttime exercise. And he drew a naked woman on the board by the time he was done. When you talk about contour lines and elevation point changes and illustrating a marsh, wetlands, the whole works, a forest. So, okay. We understand that you're also, I said, first of all, I do have a question. These allegations, I am confident, did not come directly from any of my candidates. I said, these allegations came from candidates outside of my class, didn't they? What does that have to do with this conversation? It has everything to do with this conversation because it has to do with context.
Yeah.
They heard information, but they don't have the context and the proper full backstory. Did they come from candidates? I'm not going to ask you who it was or what their gender is. I just want to know, did these allegations come directly from my class to the parents who then complained? No. All right, that makes a lot of sense because I know that I'm very intense compared to some of my fellow drill instructors. They're all good drill instructors. They're all intense, but I take things a few steps further sometimes. I said, so what's the next allegation? you make your officer candidates, females, wear aqua velva. I said, why, yes, I do. I said, it is important that they not be distracted, the candidates, with the awareness of each other's unique sexuality. Their hormones are raging at this point, even though it's a stressful program. There's females in the class. I don't want these males smelling female perfume. So all of my candidates are going to smell the same. I don't make them buy it. I bought it. I put it in a squirt bottle called Aqua Velva. And I only do it for the first week of their training in Doc Week, known as Poopyville. And at that time, I no longer participate in their evening hygiene. They're expected to do that on their own. And I said, now I'll be happy, if you like, to use male cologne, Aqua Velva, my preferred favorite, on even days. And odd days, we'll do a female perfume, Chanel No. 5, opium, whatever it is we want. I will do that in odd days, and everybody will smell the same. But this is about creating bonding moments. I am a great proponent of pro-female in the military, and I gave examples of aviation and how I stuck up for my females, and that there at OCS, how I had my females assemble or disassemble a rifle for an officer candidate who couldn't figure it out, proving that females have value and purpose in this place. I said, and I hope that when I die, that female officer candidates I train are helping carry my casket to bury me 6 feet down, as we sing proudly in a PT song in the Marine Corps. I said, because if they were trained by me, I would gladly go to combat with them. And so when it was all over with, no court martial, no written counseling, because what was the purpose? It wasn't hazing. It wasn't for the purpose of no military reason. I gave explanations on why. And a few days later, Master Gunner Sergeant Haltry comes into the changing room at battalion. He says, Marines, gather around. I'm going to read to you probably the greatest piece of literary genius I have ever written. Now, he, incredible sense of humor, 3-tour drill instructor, first tour parasailing, second tour aviation officer candidate school, Pensacola for the Navy, and then third tour chief drill instructor for Navy OCS. And great sense of humor. And he was an admin Marine his whole career. So he had good literary skills. It starts off with, Gunner Sergeant Crouch is an Aqua Velva man. And then he starts talking about why everyone will smell the same, so there are no distractions in training. He would be happy to alternate male and female scent on a daily basis to ensure equal representation. And he sent that to Headquarters Marine Corps as the follow-up to this. And it's one of those moments in your gut, like, God, I want a copy of this, and I should have asked. I never thought to write a book and podcast. But decades later, 30 plus years later, here we are on a podcast telling stories, and I would love to have read it verbatim. It was a great piece of literary genius.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah. So I always felt it's important to be somewhere where the candidates don't expect you. Mm-hmm. I got a combination to a wall locker one time, or maybe it was unlocked when I found it. And instead of destroying the contents, I had another drill instructor lock me in it.
Oh, God.
I was in there for maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so. It doesn't bother me. I've been in smaller contained spaces for several hours, as I told you, my aviation days. And
that's right.
So I hear him coming in, and undoes the combination lock, boom, opens it, and I come out with my campaign cover, kind of ajar because I had all his clothes in there, right?
Yeah.
Screaming and yelling at him. He has a damn near heart attack. It would have been a cold blue in a hospital. And he's terrified. and he's having a hard time processing what's happening because I'm speaking ballistically and speaking fast. I just am materialized, teleported from someplace he never expected a human to be. And I'm asking him questions. He says, how in the fuck did I get in your wall locker? Right? The drill instructor took the back off, sir. Wrong answer, pig. How did I get in your fucking wall locker? Took the hinges off, sir. Wrong answer, pig. How did I get in your fucking wall locker? And so I berated him. I PT'd his ass right there. Had him write a chit for pay so I could torture him again later. And then probably a 500-word essay on why we don't write down or leave our lockers unlocked and whatnot. But we would do that during the outpost inspections, which happened the Friday of Poopyville Indoc Week. And one of us drill instructors would be in there. We get the candidates online. And at the end of the squad bay, not squad bay, but in the barracks, then one of the drill instructors would go in there and they'd lock him in there. And they would, that's right. It was after their inspection. So we go through there, we terrorize their wall locker. Everything's out and about all over the room. Right. We were having them PT on their racks or on in the ground around us. But when they couldn't see, one of them would sneak in and we'd just close it. It wouldn't be padlocked. And then it was all over with. Holtree, the big guy, who was like 6'3", huge, massive guy, the chief drill instructor, he's all tinied up in there and he's waiting. And then he says, I could hear them out there after the drill instructors left the room. The hatch is shut because we heard it slam. They're in there going, holy shit, man. What was that? And they're high-fiving each other. Oh, that was scary. That was intense or whatever. And then they would open up the wall locker, and he'd come out and start speaking with his aggressive, deep baritone voice. What the fuck are you doing? Who told you to hand slap and have a good time? You think you were here for your fucking entertainment? And he said this kid dropped to his knees, and he was making noises that were not human. His cardiovascular system quit working in sync with his heart, his pulmonary system. And so he was so concerned for his physical health. He was afraid that he might go into cardiac arrest and that he'd now have to explain why he was in a wall locker and caused a kid to have a heart attack. And in the hallway, and then he lost it, laughing his ass off because he just terrorized some officer candidates, again, thinking, it goes to that song that we sing all the time. Everywhere we go, there's a drill instructor there. Everywhere we go, there's a drill instructor there. I went on a date. I was having a good time. Rounding first base, getting in her pants. Next thing I know, my drill instructor's there. What are you doing, boy? Get off of her. And so we sing those always while doing push-ups to make them forget how many they're doing, but they're doing a lot of push-ups. And yeah. Reinforces the PT song. Everywhere we go, there's a drill instructor there. I remember one time I decided to climb a tree. And so all the platoons had to march under this huge live oak tree that was well over a couple hundred years old. And it was just to the over the sidewalk as you walk into the student entry point of the schoolhouse, and right off to the side of where the F-4 Phantom and later on an FA-18 Hornet was a static display. It was after chow, so I decided I wasn't going to march him to the academics. I would get there in advance and hide in the tree. I'm wearing camouflage, so I probably 12 feet up. And they're not going to be thinking of looking up there where the foliage is, right? And I'm watching, though, and I can see them. Freaking mouths are moving. They're whispering. I see a couple of them scan their head to the right at regiment headquarters, making sure that the chief drill instructor or other drill instructors can't see them. And so just as they were approaching, I dropped out of the tree and I landed in front of them. Now, in hindsight, it's kind of like the movie Animal House when John Belushi drops out of a tree. And I said, You three fucking pigs owe me a chit for pain. Eyeballing the freaking regimental headquarters. You. I called their freaking names, whatever it was. Cox. You're one of the birds. I want a chit for pain for running your suck while marching in formation. Your eyeballs are supposed to be 1,000-mile stare, not moving in the socket, your lips shut, and marching intensely. But that's not what I got today, is it? My God. A couple hours later, I'm getting called to the chief drill instructor's office. Poultry says, "Hey, Nick, what's this I hear you're dropping out of trees?" I says, "Yeah." He says, "Why are you in the fucking tree?" I said, "Because I know I can't trust them. I knew they'd be screwing up." "Well, that's why you're supposed to be marching them." I said, "How can I check self-discipline if I'm there? You got to be absent to check self-discipline. You got to be where they don't think you are. That's self-discipline." And I said, well, I think it was Mr. Brown, the safety officer, a civilian. And he said, he heard about it, I think. And, or the director of the school did. Somebody heard about it. They had authority and told the master guns, get a hold of Crouch and tell him and all drill instructors, they will not be in trees and jumping out of trees. Fast forward 20 years. I'm writing the book, The Pressure Cooker. It's a story where Hotry was dropping out of trees. I go, there we go again. Hotry telling me cannot do something that he did 10 years earlier when he was a drill instructor. Man, what a cock blocker,
That's awesome.
So sometimes we would take fat recruits that somehow met the height, weight standards to go and join, but certainly not graduate at this point. Right. And I can't remember if it was me or Willette, Gunner Sergeant Willette, but one of us had one of my officer candidates standing in front of the mirror. So you have this huge mirror to the left of where you drop off your trays at the scullery to exit the chow hall. He's over there with this tray of food that he's waiting to deposit. The drill instructor took him over there and made him stand in front of the mirror and look at his reflection. He says, "I want you to have an argument with yourself on who's fatter, you or your reflection." So this officer can's over here. "You are a fat, disgusting pig." "No." And he tried to change his voice. "No, you're a fat, disgusting pig." He had arms like ham hocks, back and forth, just chewing out himself about being a fat, disgusting body. The things that we were able to do there, we could never do at Marine Corps Officer Candidate School or Marine Corps Recruit Depot Training, but it was fun at OCS because you got, at that point, 7 drill instructors, a chief drill instructor, and 6 working drill instructors who are all with 2 or 3 classes or platoons each at different points in training and just having the time of their life. Now it's got to be torture. They're up at Newport, Rhode Island. Shitty weather around all that brass and chain of command now since 2009 when they moved up there. And
it can't be the same way. There's no way.
And a shared chow hall, right? Mm-hmm. That's definitely possible. Where this is only for officer candidates. So you go ahead and close that one out here. So there's a fat chick who DOR'd. And so it's probably, let's back up here. Someone who was trained by Gunner Sergeant Dozier, class 08-98. Mm-hmm. The ones that were up there studying to be an honor class, and they became an honor class. They won all the trophy streamers. But he went through the Citadel. Okay. But he found out if he went through OCS, he could become a naval aviator. And so he came there to become a naval aviator. And but ended up not becoming a naval aviator during his time. So he ended up going intel. But after he left and retired from the Navy, he became an aviator. And now he flies for the big airlines. And,
wow. Okay.
He's an awesome guy. And so L. Reiner is his name. And he was telling me that he knew 3 people who had come here in advance before he showed up.
Yeah.
And he knew them as all solid people, that they're hardcore and motivated, and could never picture them DOR, drop on request, quitting the program. But all within a couple week period, all 3 of them had DOR'd. He goes, holy shit, what's going on there? This is stressful. Oh my God. 3 people I know have quit that I never would have pictured quitting, DOR'd.
Yeah.
One of the phone calls that they make to say, hey, I just quit the program. They're fucking crazy down here. And and I think he said 1 or 2 of them were my officer candidates, trained by Gunner Sergeant Crouch. He didn't end up getting me. He ended up getting Dozier.
Yeah.
Well, the 3rd one who DOR'd, she, I won't use her name because I always screw it up anyways. I hate for someone who's innocent to get accused. Like Cox, common name.
Yeah.
They get
That guy, he's a turd. He's been a turd in almost every story you've had,
So let's call this fat, disgusting thing Smith. That's a pretty common name. So this fat chick named Smith, it's probably day 3 in the passageway outside the rooms. Now, in the passageways, if you're 6 foot, you cannot be in the push-up position. Your head will hit the wall that's opposing you.
Okay.
So everyone has to rotate 45 degrees when they drop to get them. And so we PT their ass up in the online. It's not like a squad bay where you have a quarter deck, a designated area for punishment. Out here, you're doing it in the hallway, outside the rooms, rotate 45 degrees, drop down, get them. So I had them on their back at this moment doing leg lifts. And she had this huge pumpkin head. And if it was a hat size, it would be a size 8, right? And she lacked the core strength to raise her fat pumpkin head off the deck at the same time that her legs were off the deck. It was one or the other, teeter-totter, but it was not going to be at the same time demonstrating core strength. And so I seen her over there. And I dropped down to my knees. I says, get that fat head off the deck. I bet if there's a fucking donut on your chest, you get your fucking head up there and eat the donut, wouldn't you? And she said, sir, this officer candidate DORs. Good. Now you can have all the donuts you want. Get up, go down and see and report into the watch commander, regimental watch commander. And so she got up, left, and DOR'd. Well, the assistant director of the school, she did not like me at all. She didn't like my attention that I gave females because they were doing female push-ups, putting their knees on the deck, crap like that. We talked about that before.
Right.
And so she talked to her, and it's called G Company, where I don't know what the G stands for, good riddance maybe. But G Company, where they send them to be processed out. So they sit there in regiment headquarters on the first floor, G Company, and they are treated like NCOs in the fleet. We don't yell at them. We don't treat them like shit. Some of them are going back to training. Some of them are going to leave the organization. And so they talked her into coming back and retracting her DOR. I'd never heard of such a thing. Retract a DOR? Since when does that come into our vocabulary? You quit now because things are tough and uncertain and the fear of the unknown? What's going to happen again when it's the fear of the unknown? We're supposed to then give you another chance to come back? I was pissed that they were putting her back in the program. And she said it had to be any drill instructor but Gunnery Sergeant Crouch. And so when they capitulated and did that, I was pissed. And so that fat pumpkin head was now with Dozier's class, 08, 9, or 8. And fast forward. She gets through the program. She commissions. She's out in the fleet to become, if she made it through the program as an aviator, her call sign would have been Fish. Fuck, is she huge.
That's good.
Because there is a female aviator that is tall, huge, not fat huge. So she looked like sausage in the skin that you put into the deli, right? I mean,
Right.
100% filled in her flight suit. Fast forward, a year goes by. I'm back in aviation. In fact, I left that place probably 6 months later, 5-6 months later, I left, went back to aviation. A few months later, my commanding officer comes back from across country. Cross country, as you leave your base, you go somewhere across country, land at another base, spend the night typically, and then you come back the next day. So he went to Pensacola, went to the officers club, and in his flight suit, and in there where he's having his meal, there was a table with about 8 to 10 naval aviators, and they're all swapping stories of their OCS experience with the Marine drill instructors. And he said one of them was so fat, I don't know how she got in her flight suit. She must have grown into it, because I don't see how it's possible that she could have zipped it up. And she was telling a story about you, Gunny. And I said, oh, really? She says, yeah, that she DOR'd because you told her that I bet if there was a donut on your chest, you get your fat head off the deck and be eating that donut. And I told him the story of who she was and her background and everything. So fast forward, a couple of decades go by. I become friends online, Facebook, with Al Reiner. And so he's seen my Facebook presence out there. He saw my YouTube videos out there that I have of me being a drill instructor at OCS. So if you ever put in the abbreviation of Gunnery Sergeant, GYSGT, Crouch, in the search engine, you'll see a million hits for me for videos where I'm doing a self-introduction speech on day one, probably the most intense one, and is class 199 or 7, where I'm in a camouflage uniform, and then I march him to the chow hall. But him and I become friends. I hook him up with his drill instructor, Master Sergeant Dozier, and so at least they're in connection, they're in contact with each other. And so a couple of years ago, Al was over at the house. He says, Gunny, you're not going to believe this. He says, you remember Smith, right? We'll talk her name's Smith.
Smith. Yeah.
She made captain in the Navy, which is full colonel. And if you're in the other branches, and that she ended up in intel community, and she kind of did the kind of work like Demi Moore does in G.I. Jane at the very beginning, where she's working with special forces, typically Navy SEALs, doing intel gathering for them, giving them information. And she's done a lot of incredible things for the Navy and for the war on terror, and for special forces, specifically the Navy SEALs. And as well, we know that she never earned the Trident, and she never was a SEAL, although she was big as a SEAL. But let her know that I'm proud of her, and I'm happy that she did good things for the Navy and for our war fighters out there. And so he went to her retirement ceremony, and then he shared with her my sentimental thoughts. But so I had one nice thing about having classes at different intervals of training. You use your older classes, more experienced, to lock on and train your newer classes. Yeah. And give them an opportunity to demonstrate leadership as well. So I told my class, this is, hey, set up a room for a room locker personnel inspection. I will give it tomorrow. I want everything perfect. So I get my brand new class in there. It's their first week in battalion now. So they've been there for 1 week, a Sunday. And now it's Monday. So it's in the afternoon. I'm teaching them how to fold and how to stamp mark all of their uniform items.
Right.
And even though I gave that class in Poopyville, it needs to be given again, only with more time and attention to detail. Shirts 6x6, socks, 2x3, on and on. Everything had to be a certain measurement. And so I grab out of the top drawer. The drawers are spaced and staggered, 3 inches open, 6 inches open, 9 inches open. I got great pictures of this stuff. And so I pull out a pair of underwear and I hold it up in front of me. I said, and show them with it, the name is stamped on there, right? Let's say it says Cox. Mm-hmm. And then I unfold it. And then I have the look in my eyes of I'm trying to process what I'm looking at because it's not natural. There's something odd about this. It's a size 54 underwear. It is the largest size made for men. And so where they went to find a size 54 BVD underwear, I don't know. But that thing was freaking huge. And so,
literally like a flag.
And my look of processing what I'm looking at and why, the candidates thought it was funny, the new candidates, right? They started laughing. I says, oh, you think I'm here for your fucking entertainment? Well, get out in the pit now, pigs. We're going to have a good old time. Get out of my fucking office now, right? The room. So now they're all running out there, terrified that they're going to get tortured now with more PT. The candidate officers, the last 2 weeks of training who did this for me, they're now scared shitless. They think I'm going to torture them.
Yeah.
I look at them. I says, hey, a thumbs up. And I love it. There's an opportunity for me to torture the candidates at a great moment of levity. They made a mistake of laughing aloud instead of internally, and they paid the price. And we have that great memory of 54-inch underwear. That took them outside, and I just PT'd the snot out of them. So brass buckles at Poopyville. Now, I talked before a little bit that it has a sprayed-on varnish called Quartermaster, and that's to keep it from tarnishing. But that's not as lustrous brass as it could be if you polished it. So instead of using chemical to make it easy to get rid of it, the Quartermaster, I make them do it the old-fashioned way with friction and heat. And it will cause that varnish to liquefy and then stick to the metal wadding or the rags that are embedded with Brasso liquid metal polish. And I had probably 6 hours of hard polishing. You'd be surprised how fatigued they were. After a whole week, every day spending maybe an hour shining this brass, getting it perfect. Yeah. I've never seen such perfect brass in my life. And during the process to get there, if I found bad brass, I'd make the pig next to him do exercises because he had bad brass just to make him feel guilty, Yeah. And I did the same thing with knowledge. If you miss questions on a test, your mentor is the one who pays, not you. And
nice.
So we had, since it was my class that was going to have the Friday morning room locker personnel inspection in Poopyville, I was given the safety brief in the chief drill instructor's office to all the drill instructors who were present. And I said, and the chief drill instructor says, all right, we're going to do things a little bit different this time. Well, that didn't go over well because before I even said what was going to be done differently, chief drill instructor said, what the fuck you mean they're going to do something different this time? You ain't doing nothing different. We're doing it the same way we always do it, Gunny. I said, the brass that they have shined is freaking immaculate. You'd think it was done by a buffer. And all we're going to do is go through there, look at the brass, and sling it down the hallway, and it's going to be ground up with all kinds of deep gouges in it. And so I said, what kind of leadership is that when someone's worked their ass off to create something that looks perfect, and now you're going to destroy it? So the listeners who've been up listening to all these episodes at this point are thinking, I'm conflicted now.
Yeah.
Every 3% of the things he says are actually good things that we wish everybody would do. But the other 97% of the things he says are bad. Don't do those things. Well, it's important in life to be an example. Hopefully you're a good example, but sometimes you can be a bad example and what not to do. So
right.
I've always said, take the best of what you see from others and create your own bad habits, because you may know somebody who's got this charming personality and they can get away talking back or being profane to somebody where you'd never do it yourself because you'd be crucified in the Marine Corps. It's just that persuasive personality that they have and that charisma, and they can get away with it, but don't do it. So that's why I always say, create your own bad habits, but take the best of what you've seen. And So back to
that's a very good point that you bring up, is how some people with their charisma can get away with more just because of their personality and how they can talk to people and stuff like that. That's a very good point.
And their earned reputation of competence, job competence.
Right. Yeah.
You got to have the job competence.
It's true.
So I said, so their brass is not out for inspection. Poultry says, Guns, you got about 3 minutes to have that fucking brass out there because we're coming up there. So in the abs, so I'm pissed off, right? I know what they're going to do. I've seen it. Hell, I've done it. Slung brass. But the brass was never looking beautiful and perfect like this, better than anodized. And so I go up there and I give them a new command to get their fucking brass out and get it ready for display, right? The way it's supposed to be on the table.
Right.
Now we're doing the inspection. Drill instructors are going through. Now, I'm not participating in the inspection. I'm going to stand back and watch and see how it goes down. So me and the master guns are in the hallway watching into these rooms that the drill instructors are destroying. I see not Hotri, Willette, Gunny Willette. You call this fucking shine brass? I'll show you shine brass. And he goes out in the hallway and slings it down the hallway. I said to Hotri, I gesture with my hands. See what I'm fucking telling you? And then he does it a couple more times. I'm so embarrassed and pissed off about this unprofessionalism. Finally, Hotri, he starts laughing hilariously because he sees how it's affecting me emotionally, right?
Yeah.
He says, I'm not supposed to tell you, Gunny. He says, he's fucking with you. All the drill instructors are fucking with you. When you went upstairs to tell them to get their brass out, they told the G company, give me your brass now, and took all their brass off their belts and put it in their pocket. So they were palming it when they would go out there and take the brass and say, you call this fucking shined? And so when they come out there'd be a handoff. You wouldn't see it. And the one that got destroyed was the stuff from G company downstairs.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. That was good.
But I thought, what a beautiful experience. The harassment and the things that we did that were so different than anything you'd ever experienced at the other locations.
Oh, yeah.
That you trained. I'm in the chow hall one day, sitting next to Gunner Sergeant Willette, watching out there on the bunch of tables where all the recruits are, not recruits, officer candidates are. And the most junior class is closest to the drill instructor table, and the most seniors at the furthest back point.
Right.
I even had autofocus binoculars that I would often take with me. And I'd sit there, and all of a sudden, like a prairie dog, I'd come up and I would look. And I'd find somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing, and I'd boat running. And I said, I saw you, pig. I want a 1,000-word essay on why we don't whatever. And just to let them know that no matter where they are, there's a drill instructor there. And
that's right.
I had binoculars. I could see him from a distance. Well, Zelensky, my class is 02908. And Officer Candidate Zelensky is marching. He's a small man. I can say that because he was an inch shorter and about 15 pounds lighter. And small man marching with his tray, doing everything perfect.
Yeah.
Now, what I didn't know or witness is what happened the day earlier. The day earlier, I had already left to go inside the building while my class was still there. And Gunny Willette, the non-commissioned officer in charge, who also trained classes, seen the line coming down, and they're probably in week 9 or 10 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He says, Zelensky! Zelensky tells me later on that, he panicked because he thought, what did I do wrong? You don't ever want a drill instructor to call your name, right?
Yeah.
He halted, took a left step so others can continue marching forward with their trays to return them like robots. He said, face me, boy. He does a half-facing movement in the direction of the table, but not making eye contact. He says, look at me. He's looking at him. He says, I'm going to give you a choice, and I don't want your answer tonight. This is a choice that is too important to make spur of the moment. This is a choice that I want you to think long and hard And the next time I see you in the chow hall, I'm going to ask you what your answer is. You got that big ass birthmark on your face. Well, it's like Gorbachev, President Gorbachev from Russia.
Yeah.
Being on top of his head, it's on the entire side of his face, and the size of your hand. Very obvious birthmark.
Right.
I've never made fun of him. In fact, no one made fun of him with his birthmark. Right? It's something you can't change, and it wasn't self-inflicted. So, I mean, if it's self-inflicted, you might make fun of him. But so, well, that said, it appears you might be making it through this program. And that said, you're going to have to quickly figure out how to adapt to the Navy and not feel ostracized because of your big birthmark. He said, so I want to know what your call sign is going to be. And now I'm going to give you your choices. Strawberry, road rash, hickey, blood clot. Think long and hard. Now get back in line. So he returns his food. Now he's feeling like the cool guy, like, wow, recognize, bonding time. So he goes up and has a meeting that evening after the drill instructors leave at 18:30. He gets with his friends. Sean Wilson was one of them. I know he was from that class. And he says, and I think John Gilliam, who is a Fox news media commentator about Navy SEALs, because he's a Navy SEAL, FBI terrorism agent, federal marshal. He did all kinds of great jobs. And so I'm sure John Gilliam was in on it too. And he says, look, Gunner Sergeant Willett told me that I was going to have a call sign. It had to be one of these four. So what do you all think? And he said, road rash is too weak. Hickey sounds childish and feminine. Strawberry, that's not a warrior. It's got to be blood clot. And they all agreed blood clot, right?
Yeah.
So the next day, I don't know any of this. I'm sitting down. I mean, hell, I handed out mail that night. I don't know nothing about this. And it never came up with a mail call. So all of a sudden, Willett sees him and says, what's it going to be, Zelensky? So Zelensky halts, steps out of the formation of the column of files returning trays, faces the drill instructor table and shouts, blood clot, sir. He says, great choice. Get back in line. I'm baffled. I said,
I don't know what's going on.
About? He says, well, he's got that hideous birthmark. I don't want him feeling ostracized, so he needs to have a cool call sign. And I thought long and hard about it, and I thought those are the four most appropriate call signs. And I told him that he had to pick one of them to be his call sign from this point forward. And he chose blood clot. So I laughed, just another great moment at OCS. Never get to do this shit anywhere else in the Marine Corps. And so fast forward, he's going to aviation flight school across the street.
Yeah.
And so him and Sean Wilson, I believe it was, were marching down the street. Ensigns in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a new class of officer candidates. We're doing double time to the PT field. Look to the right and what do I see? And they repeat, look to the right and what do I see? Ensign blood clot looking at me. Ensign blood clot looking at me. Good morning, sir. How you doing? Hoorah. Blood clot. Semper Fi. Do or die. He said he felt like he was 7 foot tall. He's a hero. We're singing about him. And I did the same type of thing for Catherine Yonke, the social director who I told you about, her and I.
Yeah.
I gave her, whenever I'd see her, I was marching, I would have the platoon execute eyes right, which is an appropriate command when you want to render a salute and honors to somebody. And it is appropriate to do it to civilians. So she always thought that was special. But so we got a situation where, now, by the way, fast forward, I still call him blood clot in emails, in personal meetings that we have, reunions. Christmas cards I might receive, love, blood clot,
Mm-hmm.
So they love their names that they got and earned at OCS. It allows that bond to continue. So one day I'm in the dungeon and I'm doing close order drill. And there's not a lot of room in there to begin with. You have to practice manual of arms at close interval. And you can't even be in a perfect formation. So we're like wherever we can fit bodies in this weird shape of a space. But we're practicing our rifle counts. And there's videos of it indoors in the dungeon under my profile. Well, one day I said, Valenzuela, whatever his name was, something similar to that. Give your rifle a kiss, boy. He's baffled. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I said, give your rifle a kiss, goddammit. Now kiss that goddamn weapon. Right? Kiss it. So he cradles it in his arm like a woman, and he places his lips gingerly on the upper stock, right, and kisses it. Now, me and the officer candidates all crack up. And the reason is he doesn't know what he's supposed to do because he was absent the day prior. And the reason he was absent the day prior is he was at band practice. You see, they have a band that they plays music for every graduation, which is every 2 weeks. So they have a constant flow of people that have to play instruments. So hopefully out of 35, 55 people, there's some musicians in there that have some experience. And if they don't have enough people, they'll tell them, well, your job is to do this, bang these cymbals together or do whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And so during extra close order drill sessions is when I did this. I was teaching left and right shoulder arms. Now we know what happens. It doesn't matter how light and soft your weapon is. You're going to turn your head and move it out of the way when you go to do a left or a port arm, left shoulder arms, right shoulder arms, or port arms. You're moving your head so it doesn't impact. And you have to develop that confidence that you can flip and toss your weapon vertical and then rotate the wrist and then guide it into your shoulder. Right. It cannot come from the port arms position straight across your face like you would normally think. So I told them, getting frustrated with all this head movement, afraid to get hit. I says, hold your combination cover in one hand, which is a barracks cover that we have, right? And it's not a soft piss cutter. It's the barracks cover. So they're holding that in one hand. I said, with your other hand, holding your weapon, smack it into the side of your skull now. I want to hear bones crushing. I want to hear the sound of soft tissue rupturing, right? So I made them hit it a few times. Now they're self-abusing themselves with their M1 Garand. And we're all still here. And I even demonstrated with a rifle for the proper intensity. So it's not like I'm asking them to do something I won't do. So now the next few times I catch someone doing it, everybody give your weapon a kiss now. They got to take their cover off and smack themselves in the head. And then put the cover back on. Now I have a feeling Paris Island and San Diego and Quantico would not approve. But
they would probably frown on that. Yeah.
And all of you SOP lovers, understand this right now. Don't judge me and how we did things 35 years ago, 40 years ago, 45 years ago. It was a different Marine Corps. And would I still break the rules? Possibly. But would it be the same way? Most likely not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yes. So don't be judging. Don't be critical. So now that I understand, so when I said give your rifle a kiss, and he, I think, dropped to a knee and he cradled it and gave it a loving kiss like he would, Snow White. The class breaks up laughing. I do. I said, what the fuck are you doing? And then the guide and also the class president spoke up. He said, sir, Officer Kenneth Velasquez, or whatever his name was not present yesterday when the Officer Kenneth learned about French kissing their weapons. Oh, well, everybody take off your covers and demonstrate how we kiss our weapon. Pay attention, Velasquez. And so I want to see it now. Some good, deep French kissing. Deeper again. More. I want more saliva. All right, they're just beating themselves in the head. Good. Velez, I want to see a rifle kiss now, boy. And if it's soft, we all do it again. Everybody has to do it hard. And he smacked himself on the head. I made him do it a second time, I think. And so from that point forward, he knew about that. So
that's good.
When I was training, I was stressed out. My very first class, 21-906, 21st class of 1996. Had 5 females in it. I think I'm a very theatrical person, very artistic, very verbal, very profane. And that might be a problem with females in the class. But my approach in the fleet was always just treat them like Marines. Don't treat them special. Don't treat them differently. And we all get along just fine. And they always seemed to like it and didn't have a problem. So I gave my conversation with them at the very beginning. Did I talk to you about the first time that about genderless warriors?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm out at close order drill. And one of them is built like Dolly Parton and just as tall. Which means she's 5'4" and she's got large breast in front of her. Well, we know that we teach for male recruit training. The size of your fist on average is 4 inches from the inside of the fist to the back side of the fist. And that should be 4 inches between your chest and the rifle magazine well when holding it at proper port arms.
Right.
So she's got these little stubby arms and these well-endowed mammary glands. And so her weapon is all up inside her breast. Only I don't notice this because I'm in the zone, man. I'm going down the line, and there's only 5 females out of like 50 people in this class. So I'm going down there and I'm grabbing the weapons where I always grab the weapons, which is basically within your chest zone, right? And I get to her and I forcefully grip it and grab it like I intended to, only I'm thinking to myself, that's not metal and wood. That's tissue. And my eyes drop down, and then I release my finger grip. And so I continue to move down. Now, the facial expression I had on the inside was horror. I did not want to touch her breast, but it happened. And I didn't do it with any purpose of eroticism. I did it trying to adjust her weapon, and it must have hurt. And because I've heard that contrary to the movies and things you might read on the internet, women don't want strong fingers gripping between their nipples. And that's what happened. So now I'm stressed out. Is this going to be an allegation? It wasn't intentional. I don't want to embarrass myself and her and apologize to her at that moment. And so I go through and I'm very conscious of the other females. So I get to a female, all of a sudden I go from reaching into the weapon where their hands are and the weapon to make adjustments. All of a sudden I go buttstock and flash suppressor. My arms are way out. And then I get back down to the middle, making these corrections and back out to the ends. So I don't get anywhere near breast. And so I think she knew it was a mistake because from that point forward, she saw me hands fully extended like I'm at Pugilsic fighting and not up there close making adjustments. And
oh my God, that's too good.
That's not a rifle I'm touching. It's really soft and tender tissue. Oh my God. And I can only imagine the wincing that went on the inside.
Oh my God. I could just see your eyes whenever you realized it. Oh God.
So one day, my officer candidates were in the uniform issue. So they went there to get their uniforms after they were tailored to see if they properly fit. Now, they're probably in week 7. And it's a 2-block walk from where the tailor shop is to where the barracks is. So we're not required to be with the officer candidates anywhere. We go where we think we ought to be. So I marched them over there. I told them there will be no pogey bait being purchased because it's right inside the exchange, the uniform shop. So they might be tempted to buy things that is prohibited.
Right.
They can buy soap, they can buy deodorant, toothpaste, stuff like that, but not anything else like postcards and crap.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm outside with the other drill instructors, all 6 of us. I'm number 7. Master Guns goes, "Hey, Nick, where's your class?" And he knows where my class is. He looked at the schedule. He knows where all the classes are. He says,
Yeah.
"Uniforms issued." "Well, don't you think that's where you should be?" I says, "Why?" He says, "Oh, how about the fact they're going to load up and bring all kinds of pokey bait and candy and shit?" If you don't know what pokey bait is, it's a term from decades ago. It's food that is candy bars and sweets, treats. So
It's the good food.
I said, well, first of all, you're assuming they're like all these other pigs trained by these drill instructors. These are crouch trained warriors. They are held to a higher standard. Oh, really? Yeah. I challenge you to find any candidate that would have made a mistake and in judgment and chose to purchase contraband. Game on. Now here they are marching back in small groups of like 6 at a time, right?
Yeah.
You got the little cash sells plastic bag, shoe polish, whatever's in there. And it says, "Stop. Who's got contraband? Anybody got any candy bars, sweets, postcards, any of that crap?" They all said no. And then they shook them down. They checked the bags, had them dump them. They shook them down, their uniform. That bad. Inside, I'm sweating bullets, right?
Yeah.
Because I talk a big game, but are my candidates going to let me down? I always talk about crouch trained, held to a higher standard. And so group after group is coming through. Now I'm feeling cocky. I said, "Really? We're going to check every group? This is probably the last group coming through here. I haven't been keeping count. Your pigs are no different than any other pigs, and they can't be trusted." So they stopped them, asked the same question. "Did you all buy any candy?" "Yes, sir." They had everybody's candy. So everybody bought candy, and they gave it to the last group that was coming back in case there was a shakedown. And so they opened up the bags. Oh, my God. I've never seen so much candy in my life. The drill instructors loved it and took my class and PT'd the shit out of them. I PT'd the shit out of them and held to a higher standard, huh, Gunny? And I'm walking through the barracks one day, checking their rooms, and sometimes we do things just to mess with them, see how well they handle stress. Mm-hmm. So I never took the best looking rack or the worst looking rack. I take one like the second best looking rack, and I destroy it. Sheets, everything, all a mess. Take their running shoes and pound them so shoe and dirt falls into their sheets, right? That they sleep in. Candidate would come back. He'd be pissed off. "This is bullshit. I make a better rack than everybody in here," right? And we do the same room, the same rack every day for days. And then we just all of a sudden stop, right?
Yeah.
But I would hear, we try to find out stories later on, weeks later, when we can talk to them and ask them so we could understand how effective our techniques are. And they said this kid was on the verge of DOR. He was going to drop on request. He couldn't handle the stress. He thought it was upperclassmen fucking with him because it couldn't be his peers because they were in class with him. And he never thought a drill instructor would do that because he made a good rack. But
that's funny.
I found alarm clocks, maybe 7 or 8 of them, little digital ones. They're all the same kind. They bought them at the exchange.
Right.
Oh, they want to get up before Reveille, do they? They're supposed to unplug them and put them in the locker. Nothing's supposed to be outside the wall locker ever, unless it's on free time when 1830 to 0445. So I took all the alarm clocks with me, took them out to the sand pit, and I plugged them in. And then I got the class, and I got them all outside in the sand pit. I said, "I don't know why you all think you need an alarm clock. We hold Reveille every day at 0445. But some reason you all need an alarm clock. And then you're stupid enough to leave it plugged in while you're in class." I said, "Well, I'm not going to confiscate them. You can have them back. but I want to see these things come alive. So right now, mountain climbers begin. We're going to see how much juice we can generate. There's no way that you can PT and cause energy to power these clocks. It was symbolic. I plugged them in and nope, still don't see nothing. And let's try side straddle hops. Let's try hello dollies, leg lifts, run and play, bends and thrust. And
that's awesome.
We would do charity runs probably 9 months of the year, maybe 10 months of the year. So it would be on a Saturday morning, and we'd take the entire battalion out there, and we'd set them up by seniority. And we would be tail end Charlie of these fun runs, these 5Ks.
Right.
And, so we had them back to back, and they were going to start at the same location. The McGuire's Irish Pub in Pensacola would host McGuire's fun run. And then, but the week prior was muscular dystrophy charity.
Okay.
I knew why we were there. Pretty obvious by the posters all over the place.
Yeah.
The banners. Everyone takes off running, probably 1,000 runners. And Pensacola is a beautiful place to run through. When we start our long formation of of officer candidates. So I'm up front, and I'm going to be the pace set. And Willette is calling cadence for the first. We merged the platoons, to have them broke down into 2 platoons would sing as one. And because we had 2 or 3 platoons apiece, so we don't have enough drill instructors. Yeah. And he started singing. That's right. Well, that song was setting the pace. I was the first singer, and I sung for about 8 minutes. And then I called out drill instructor Gunner Sergeant Willette to take my place. And then I went up front to set the pace. First song that he breaks out into is "My Girl's a Vegetable." She lives in
no way.
Hospital. She's got no arms and legs. All she's got are hooks and pegs. She's got her own TV. She calls it an EKG. Got to keep my girl alive. Man, I love that woman. One day I played a joke, pulled the plug just to watch her choke, plugged it back in and did it again. Man, that girl is funny. It just keeps going on and on. I'm terrified. I don't want to be associated with this Neanderthal. He's singing that kind of song at a muscular dystrophy charity run. The candidates are singing at the top of their lungs. They think it's hilarious,
yeah,
because the drill instructor is doing something so bold and offensive. I'm doing everything I can. I'm jumping out, trying to get his attention, yelling his name. He's in the groove, man. He's looking down 2/3 back on the formation, a long formation, probably 90 officer candidates, and just singing his heart out. I thought, I can't get him to stop now. And he finished out singing that song, "My Girl's a Vegetable," at the MSP run, or March Dimes, whatever it is. But,
so anybody say anything about that?
No, we never heard nothing. I don't know if we got invited the next year, but
oh my God, that's too funny.
So did I ever share how I would have the weight of a sea bag on a belt for female officer candidate? So they were in a skirt, so they could not do exercises. So when male officer candidates would have discrepancies, we'd have them on the rack doing leg lifts or push-ups on that very springy mattress that won't resist you. It's actually pretty hard to do a push-up or a leg lift, but there's no room to do it in the room. They'll get hurt, and we'll have them run in place. So the females, I would either have hold the M1 Garand rifle and do rifle PT exercises in heels and a skirt, or I would inspect their belt first. So I went in there and I look at their web belt, inspect the brass, look for an Irish pennant, smudges, show her whatever discrepancies there were, and I'd have her hold that belt as tight as she can with her hands, shoulder width apart, parallel to the deck, fist at shoulder height. And then I would inspect each item in her sea bag that's in that wall locker. I'd show her what the discrepancy was, and then I'd drape it over the belt. Well, a sea bag weighs somewhere around 40 some pounds. And so all of a sudden, she's now holding this thing that she can't hold anymore. So now she's squatting, and she's trying to raise it up like it's a military press, holding it. And it's just wearing her out. I'm taking my sweet time as I inspect that female officer candidate uniform and all of the things that are in her wall locker that need to be inspected. And they got to be treated just like the males.
That's pretty good, though.
I was
out. But I remember doing. I don't know if you ever did it, but I did a like a pencil or lead stick or ink stick, and I would just have them hold it out like that. It a matter of minutes, they're like crying. They're like, "Oh my God, please stop! This is horrible." You could just see it, and they're like trying to hold their arm up. So I can't imagine a whole sea bag.
Yeah. So another thing is emptying the barracks of furniture and set it up outside, just like it was inside, so we can clean the building. So if we want to do things the hard way, we'll do it the hard way. Good. And we're on the second floor. I get the wall lockers out, get the metal racks out, the mattresses, the desk, get everything outside, set it up in the grass, just like it's inside the squad bay, and everything be perfectly aligned. Now you can clean your room upstairs, and now you can go ahead and carry everything back upstairs. I mean, you can make anything painful, and we did. And
that's a true statement.
So there's a great photograph that someone took of someone who I got the idea from, and I think it was Donahue, Gunner Sergeant Donahue from AOCS in the late 90s. And someone was across the street and took some pictures, and it is awesome. It's actually a picture in my book called The Pressure Cooker, Forging Naval Officers Through Marine Leadership. And it shows everything set up outdoors. And so I talked to him at a reunion. I said, "So what was the impetus for this?" He says, "Well, they were really kind of slow that day, and I thought they were vitamin D deprived. So I says, well, looks like my boys and girls need some vitamin D. What do you say we go outside and study our knowledge?" And so he had them take their racks and their desk and their chairs and their trash can and set them up outside, but not the wall lockers. And they're all sitting there studiously in the sun, doing their work. And then the funny things that we see going on there.
Oh, that's good.
Did I ever talk about pig-like qualities and officer-like qualities on uniform posters?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So we had a photography lab there, and they need lab projects. So I got hold of the lab and said, "Hey, I would like to create 2 posters, and I want these posters about 2 feet wide, probably 4 feet tall, and they're going to be an officer candidate who's wearing the uniform, and there's going to be call outs of everything that's perfect. So you'll have a macro shot. So you have the whole uniform, and then you do a macro shot to what is perfect about that uniform. And then you have another one that is all jacked up. It couldn't get any worse than this. And one is going to be called officer-like qualities, and the other one's going to be pig-like qualities." And I took officer candidate Harrington from that class. I think he was in class 159 or 7. And he was a Marine before he came to the program. So I said, "Harrington," and he looked like a poster Marine, blonde hair, chiseled, just like our posters that we had from decades past, big, strong jaw. So I told him what I wanted. And I told him how bad to make the other uniform look. And then we got all the pictures. I saw the proofs. I approved it. Then they were manufactured. I got them framed. And then I hung them in the hallway that is not used by Marines. It's the class officers from the Navy and the class chief petty officers from the Navy. So I hung them on the wall professionally outside their office. Didn't tell them anything about it. Drill instructors I said, don't let them know. because the director of the schoolhouse angered me. He, I swear to God, only had 2 Creighton shirts, the upper short sleeve, nice shirt. And one of them had a freaking cigarette burn right there below his button. And it should have been thrown away. But he wore it all the time because he's the director of the school. He's a commander, and he doesn't seem to think standards are important.
Yeah.
So the only ones who know that this is a Marine thing is the Marines. And we're sworn to secrecy.
Yeah.
I find out that days go by. The chief petty officers and the officers commissioned, they're angry about this, but they don't do anything because they don't know who authorized it. And it looks professionally done. And it was by the photo lab on base where they teach photography.
Yeah.
And, but the word pig-like qualities, that one bothered them. Finally, they get the nerve to ask their command master chief. He don't know nothing about it. They ask the director of the school. He doesn't know anything about it. And of course, they describe it. And so the director of the school goes to the chief drill instructor, and I think he may have told them that Gunnery Sergeant Crouch did this. And so I was told that the officer-like quality poster can stay, but the pig-like quality poster cannot. And I said, that's bullshit. And I said, I want to talk to the director. He says, no, you don't, Nick. I said, yes, I do. I want to challenge him. I want to address this, debate this. He says, it's not up for debate, Nick. And I don't remember if I got to talk to him directly about it or not. If I didn't, he spoke on my behalf. But the compromise was, well, first of all, the word pig and officers should never be used, right? But it wasn't forbidden. And it says there are no pigs in the Navy. And it says, so it could be changed to be non-officer-like qualities. So I had it changed to non-officer-like qualities. Well, guess what? Those posters stayed there. So when those candidates are in their hallway, they're allowed to stand and relax any way they want, like high school kids. And when they get anywhere near the drill instructor offices, they better have their body locked up, 1,000-mile stare, not even breathing. And so they're down there looking at these pictures, and now they can see and identify the same shit that's on the chief or the class officer uniform associated with non-officer-like qualities. They go, he's that kind of an example. And
oh, that's good.
Now, I'm pretty confident that when I left the program at the 2-year mark, those things are probably taken and thrown away right away.
Probably. Oh, stop it. Crazy dog snorting over here.
So we talked about that. So it's getting, it's my last day. And as a drill instructor, I've already checked out, got my whole apartment in my U-Haul trailer.
Yeah.
Attached to the back of my 94 Ford Explorer. And some of my ensigns who I have graduated or there locally, they want to have a goodbye going away for me at a place called Bananas over at Pensacola Beach. So I get there, and it's another one of my fellow drill instructors and 3 of my females and a couple other officer candidates who have recently graduated, commissioned. But before I get there, it's probably 1800 in the evening. Sun's still up. It's 2 lanes to get through the gate to get onto Pensacola Beach. So the song comes on from the B-52s, Love Shack. And I love that song. And I got the windows down because it's late February, early March, that time of year. And I got the windows down, ocean breeze. It's gorgeous. Love Shack is a long song. It comes on. So I start singing in the car. Love Shack! And whatever the rest of the damn lyrics are. Yeah. And at one point it goes, tin roof, rusted, And then whatever the rest of the lyrics are. I'm not good for memorizing lyrics. All right. And then my peripheral vision says, who's over in the vehicle beside me? And it's a Jeep CJ5. And it's got the doors off. And there's two females who are trained by me. And they're bent over. There's tears coming out of their face. They're sobbing. They're laughing so hard because they saw their drill instructor not in DI mode. They saw him being a damn civilian and singing Love Shack.
That's good.
But so one of them, April Richmond's her name, and Mask was her original last name, but she got married, and she was one strong female, and she became I think a fitness person, but to this day, she still has the toned body of a 20-year-old, and
wow.
Yeah, very admirable. She said, I'm going to say it now, then I'll tell you a story. She told me years later, she said, you are the first man who ever showed me respect.
Wow.
Yes. Now, before I showed her respect, she was just another damn nasty officer candidate. And because she was the shortest one, she was at the very back end of the formation. So when you march up into the chute, you can see it in one of my videos there where I take a class into the chow hall. She was going to be what they call the hatch body. A hatch is the door, a Navy term for a door. And so the command is hatch body out the rear, hatch body out the rear. Aye, sir. Ready, move, kill. And they all part the 2 squads to the left, 2 squads to the right, making room for this little troll to come running up there, whoever the smallest officer candidate is. And they get to the very front of the formation, recover, move, and then like the Moses parting the seas, they come back together. And that person's job is to, in a very military-like manner, step forward with one left foot, and like they're looking with their hands shooting their eyes for the sunlight, look inside the glass of the door to see, is there enough room for the class to come into the chow hall at this point?
Yeah.
And so she'd stand there, position of attention, and then she'd check every 30 seconds. I'm with Burleson was his name, Scott Burleson. He became an officer in the Marine Corps. Lost contact with him. But Staff Sergeant Scott Burleson was an infantry Marine, and I was training him to be my replacement. So he's, and I got a brand new class. He's with me. Is my last class, class 12-98. And I saw her, and now I'm livid. I could see her from a distance of about 10 yards. I'm at the far edge of the chow line, and she's doing this with her lips. She's got chapped lips, and she keeps licking them. And I came running out there. I slammed the hatch open. And I says, I'll tell you right now, pig, the next time that mouth opens, it better be grabbing a fly with that tongue. You understand me? Lizard face. And because she had some skin damage, wrinkled up face. Her lips were all chapped. And that's why she was licking her lips, is because they were chapped. And, her tongue was darting out. I said, you better be grabbing a freaking fly. But so over there, Burleson bust out laughing. I walked back over and says, man, you cannot be laughing around me and these officer candidates. They can't think what I'm doing is for anyone's entertainment. He says, but you're too damn funny. I said, I don't give a shit. You figure out how to damn channel that energy inside and not let it come out as humor or kindness. And
that's good.
Stressing out the watch. So I had this thing about rifles. I wanted them to look brand new. Now, these rifles were World War II to 1958 vintage, because that's when they stopped issuing the M1 Garand, and then they went to the M14. But they've got decades of use in that program. No one's taking care of them. They look hideous, like some third world country used them. That's what they look like. And so I felt, being a woodworker, I love wood. They're going to strip them with a paint thinner, paint remover, and then they're going to sand them, and then they're going to stain them a dark walnut again because it's walnut wood. And then they're going to put several coats of a hand rub poly finish. So it looks like a beautiful weapon used by the silent drill team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's week number 4. And the drill instructors are inspecting my platoon on week 4. I'm not participating this particular time. And all of a sudden I hear, Gunner Sergeant Crouch, come on in here. You got to see this. I come in there, and they got this former Army puke. And he had been in the Army 5 years, and I think he was in the Coast Guard like 3 years or something. But he did 2 services already. This is his 3rd service. And so in his book bag was all of his knowledge books. But he had his spiral gyro, which is an 8.5 by 10 or 8.5 by 11 notebook with college road writing with a letter he was writing home. Now, they're not permitted to have personal mail in their book bag for inspection. They're not permitted to be writing a letter that's not completed, or maybe it is finished but not yet mailed. It has to be only clean information or stuff related to academics. Right. So they're looking at it, and they're reading a letter that he's writing home to family. Our drill instructor is Gunnery Sergeant Crouch. He is absolutely psychotic. The guy belongs in an insane asylum. He has a fetish for wood, a fetish that's so strong, he made us take our crappy rifles and strip them, stain them, and then refinish them. Oh, I saw that. I said, oh, you don't appreciate the fact that you have weapons that look like they belong in the silent drill team, and all those other pigs in other classes are walking around with stuff that has not been shined and polished in years or decades? I said, we're going to solve this problem. You are going to strip a new rifle every week. So every week, starting that day, he had to turn his rifle in and get a new rifle issued to him and disassemble it, and then strip it, sand it, stain it in several coats of a wipe-on poly finish. And you have to steel wool it with 4-aught steel wool between coats. And I taught my class how to do things right. And so I made him do that week 4. So that'll be the second one that he did.
Yeah.
And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He got new rifles issued to him every week. And I would inspect the rifle that he had. And he thought the last 2 weeks when you treat him like humans, he wouldn't have to do it. Oh, no. You're still going to do it, boy. And crappy rifles.
Oh, man, that's pretty awesome.
I had so I had a female named Kwame, Quami. She's in class 15-9 or 7. And then she changed her name to Brown. I don't know why. And it was day 1 of Poopyville. So they arrive. They go through all that stress. Day 2 is Reveille. Get up, Galarac, get online now. Start counting down. Supposed to come out there in their PT uniform, male and female alike, and sound off and do a head count to find out if everyone's there.
Right.
Oh, she's doing something wrong. I come up to her. I start screaming and yelling at her. Her eyes roll in the back of her head, and she starts collapsing. So I throw my right knee into her groin, and I forearm her to her chest, thinking, okay, I can play this stupid game too. She's faking it. And maybe 30 seconds later, 40 seconds later, she starts to come back to again. And then I start screaming and yelling at her again. She passes out. We played this game a couple of times, and then someone really got my attention, so I just let her go. And, she collapsed to the floor like dead potatoes.
Yeah.
A candidate officer in their last 2 weeks of training, whose job shadowing into my platoon, learning how to be in command, give commands, do time management, he was present. He was trained by a different drill instructor, not as crazy. he was concerned, being former enlisted, that something's medically wrong with her. So he came over to render assistance. I yelled at him, "Get the fuck away from her. She's faking it." And I said, "In fact, just get the fuck off my deck. Go downstairs." So he went downstairs and told his command master chief from the Navy and, this out of control drill instructor and all this kind of crap. And so when she got back up, I screamed and yelled at her again. So when we took them to NAMI, Naval Aviation Medical Institute, or whatever it is, we call it NAMI whammy, where you go there to be inspected. And the whammy is if you're found medically unfit and you don't get to pursue your dream. And, so I took her there, and I made sure they knew that she passed out from verbal stress multiple times this morning. They still put her in the program. She should not be in a cockpit. If you can't handle stress, why are we going to put you in a cockpit?
Holy cow.
So she was not a team player, and you're supposed to learn about teamwork when you're there.
Yeah.
You're supposed to help each other with uniform preps. You're supposed to help each other with study groups, all that kind of crap. But when pressure was on her, all of a sudden she wants help from the group. And I was pissed off. My group, that platoon, 1, 5, 9, or 7, even gave her help because she had pulled the race card since she's been there. She's pulled the gender card. So her failures in life were explained and excused because of her gender, because of her skin pigmentation. The only problem is she was a low performer. That's the only reason that she was having problems. She didn't take academics seriously. That's why she failed. And she went ahead and carried that attitude with her in the aviation fleet because everyone's afraid to hold accountable a female that happens to be of color. And so they all stepped away, and that does nothing but empower them and other people. One standard: don't pay attention to the gender, don't pay attention to the color. It is simply the standard. Did you meet it or not? That's the only thing that matters. I'm starting to get upset thinking about this. I guess I haven't gotten over it.
Well, that part didn't get better over time.
No, it did not. I found a class that I had there in Poopyville, and my other class was getting ready for their 9th week inspection, I think it was, room locker personnel. It was going to be the following morning, Friday. So it was Thursday evening. And I walked by at 22:03 or something because I had to be gone at 2200. So I've just left the building next door. Now I'm walking down the sidewalk, and I see the lights on where my candidates are. So I come up there. My God, the whole damn battalion was there, not just my class. And everybody from the upper classes were helping them prepare their uniforms. So everything that was in their wall lockers looked like it exploded. You have 7 people per candidate, basically, helping them get everything absolutely perfect so that they can pass the inspection the following day. That does not work well with me. I was clear that we are crouch trained warriors. We do things different, and we're held to a higher standard. Your time to help is before an inspection, not during the inspection. You teach them days before the inspection, not the night before. You don't have somebody else fold your stuff, press your stuff, check for Irish pennants, and clip them off on the night before the survey or the inspection. All my civilian words, my parasailing words, and officer candidate words keep getting mixed up with each other. Too much similarity. And so I called 0. Everyone's shouted, "Freeze, officer candidate, freeze." And I told them, and I cussed at them for being down there helping. And I said, "This is not tolerated in my classes. Get the hell out of here. And don't you ever come back in here." The rest of my candidates, I said, "You will be inspected at 0800 tomorrow as scheduled." And I went in with my master key, I opened up the electrical panel, and I shut off all the power to that end of the barracks. I locked the door, and I left. I figured the entire class was going to fail because now the only way they can do this is with flashlights. Where's my damn flashlight? So they had to work with other candidates, and I'm sure they all worked with flashlights, a million of them, burning up, trying to solve problems. The next day I came in, they were nervous, but they looked squared away. They looked prepped. They freaking passed as a class. I couldn't freaking believe it.
Wow.
But it was good stress to put on them.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So Officer Candidate Nab, she was from Wyoming, and Wyoming didn't mean nothing to me until I met Gunner Sergeant Willett upon my check-in when I was telling my backstory and told him that some worthless or some poor Marine got stuck doing nuclear guard duty. He says, that was me. Because I
remember that. Yeah.
I didn't recognize his name being in my squadron because he was in a different shop. And so on and so forth. Well, I got this class 2196, and I look at the roster and it says that she's from Wyoming. So I said to Willette, I says, my God, you're the first person I met from Wyoming. In fact, I never even met somebody from Wyoming who knew somebody from Wyoming. And so he says, really, who? I said, Nab. What's the chances he's going to know a name in Wyoming, even though it's a big state with few people in it? There's millions of people in there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Says, what town was she from? I said, I don't know. We weren't on a date. I said, I'll find out, though. So I can't remember the name of the city. It's something like River something. And so I told him. He says, you send her to my office. I said, why? He said, I'll tell you later. So I get on the 1MC. Officer Candidate Nab, class 2196. Report to class drill instructor, Gunner Sergeant Willett in his office. So she comes running down there, does her office entry procedure, gets in front of his desk. He said, what was your address that you grew up at, right? Very small town. And he recognized the street. He said, did you have a family member, mom, an aunt, somebody, grandma that was a school teacher? Yes, sir. Of course, 1,000-mile stare. Willett is an intimidating looking guy. He's a bodybuilder. And so he's ripped. And he said, who? And she mentioned, let's say it was her aunt. And no, I remember, I think it was the grandma. Grandma, sir. And what school did she teach at? Of course, it was the right school. He said, close your eyes. Now hold your hands out, right? She's holding her hands out, palms to the deck. He takes a wood ruler, smacks her across the knuckles. That hurt. She got her
it does.
He says, you know what that's for? No, sir. Is your grandma still alive? Yes, sir. You tell her that class drill instructor Gunner Sergeant Willett just returned in kind the same kind of smack she gave me throughout school. Because she used to smack his knuckles all the time. And, so we never heard nothing about it, but
that's funny.
Yeah, the likelihood of ever finding out that someone was there.
Yeah.
So we are coming up on 5 minutes to the end line. And I think this has pretty much put us at the end. It's been a lot of fun with you, AJ.
Well, this is it?
This is it, I think. I've got a few more. I think we might have one more session when I get it put together, and we'll call it Leftovers.
Okay. That sounds good. Let's do that, because I'll have questions for you too. So I always do the rapid fire questions at the end. So one more session for sure. That way we can get the rapid fire questions in also.
Hoorah. You take care.
Awesome.
It won't be I doubt it'll be next weekend, because next weekend I'm going to Paris Island, the land that God forgot. The sand was 18 inches deep. The sun was blazing hot. But we're going to have a reunion with platoon 1037, 1037. I was there.
Yeah, that'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah. And coincide with the drill instructor reunion. Should be a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay.
All right. You be cool, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much to everybody out there. If you're struggling and need help, anything like that, don't forget that the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know John cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. John, one last time, you are the man. I don't care what anybody says. You are the man. And to everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Hoorah! Yut! I love you.
No more 22. On to the journey and finish the fight.